Hello world, this is Lisa Friedrichsen, your friend and computer science professor from Johnson County Community College in Overland Park, Kansas. And if you're watching this short screencast, you are probably in my Web 110 class and are wanting to know more about the course objectives and how to show proficiency in each of those course objectives. So let's go right to the web page for Web 110, HTML and CSS. And we're working in this screencast on the fifth objective, create absolute, relative, and anchor links. And by now you know that we can scroll down and look in the outline and see number 5, absolute, relative, and anchor links, and break out that outline into its more granular details. To show competency in this course objective, you want to be able to create links, both relative links to other pages on your own website, as well as absolute links to other websites, create anchor links, targeting links, use images as links, and discuss image maps. Now let's go through each one of those so you specifically know what they mean and what would be required of you. For letter A, create links, I'm going to take number 2 first. Create absolute links to other websites. So this would be a page not on your website, but an external page on another website. If we look at the little test HTML page that I created here, we've worked with it before. Let's say that on this test.html web page, and I'm going to run it, launch it in Chrome just to show you what it looks like. Let's say we want Johnson County Community College, this text, to be a hyperlink to our home page. Well, here's our H1 tag that defines this Johnson County Community College. All hyperlinks are entered in A tags. So the first thing I want to do is simply surround this with an opening and closing A tag. The A element, short for anchor, is what makes text or an image into a hyperlink. Well, I've saved my hyperlink, I've refreshed it, but I'm still not hyperlinking to Johnson County Community College. And that, of course, is because I haven't entered the href attribute, hyperlink reference attribute, that defines where I want this text to take me when it's clicked. And so here's my href attribute. Attributes are always followed by an equal sign. Attribute values are always in quotation marks. And an absolute link starts with an absolute path to that file. So it would look something like this, http://www.jccc.edu. And there we go. I've got an absolute link to another page on another website. If I save this and I refresh, and if I click that, here we go. I go to the Johnson County Community College home page. That's an absolute link to another website. A relative link to other pages on the same website can typically be found in the nav section. Here's my nav. It's a very basic nav without any styling yet, but I've got 4 list items in an unordered list, and to show you a relative link, I'm going to go ahead and link up this classes text to the other page that I've created for this little demo called test 2. And so let's do a relative link. Again, the A tag is always used for all hyperlinks. So you can go ahead and put in your opening and closing A tags. It's this href value that tells us where that link's going to go. And if you do not include the specific path to the file, then it becomes what's called a relative path. And there's my relative path. And because there's no folder before the file name, that relative path means that this link to test 2 must be in the same folder as the current file, which is test. And here I have test open in my browser. I'm going to refresh it. I see that my classes text became a hyperlink, and if I click it, then I'm on my test 2 page. So that's a relative link. Most of the pages and images on a website are linked relatively. So here's another relative link. This means go into the images folder and find the jccc.jpg image, and that's what's giving us this image. And so I've got a specific YouTube on relative paths, and what the .. means, that just means back up a folder, then go into the images folder. And so if you need any more help on relative paths, be sure to watch that extra YouTube. Let's go back and look at the next part of this course objective, create anchor links. Really, all of these hyperlinks use the A tag, which is short for the anchor element. But this phrase, I believe, is referring to a case where you have a very tall web page and you don't want people to have to scroll a lot. It's very common on the bottom of a web page in the footer to put another nav. And I've just put a little tiny footer section in here with a paragraph, Johnson County Community College, the pipe, and the word top, so that I can demonstrate an anchor hyperlink. And it looks like this. Again, we put the A tag opening and closing tags around that anchor. And what we want that to do, when I click that hyperlink, we want it to pop us back to the top of the web page. So to link to a specific spot in a web page, you first have to have that spot identified. So here we are up in our H1 tag, Johnson County Community College, and I'm going to ID that as top. So if I've identified that H1 element as top, then to link to it, the href attribute looks like this, # top, because we always use that # or hashtag in current terminology to talk to an ID in both HTML and CSS. Now when I save this and I refresh it, I see that my word top has become a hyperlink, and when I click it, boom, I'm taken right back to the top portion of the web page. So I'll want you to know how to code a anchor that goes to a specific spot on a web page. If I had top ID'd in test2, it would simply be test2.html top. And let's test that. I'm going to save, refresh, top, and now I'm at the top of the test2.html page. For letter C, create targeting links. I'm going to take you to W3 Schools because I don't want you to forget about the search button in W3 Schools and how easy it is to find out about any HTML element or attribute or CSS property, and also receive a little try-it-yourself snippet of code where you can see the code on the left and see how it works on the right. The target attribute is entered like this. If I use the target attribute with the quotation _ blank quotation value, when I click Visit W3 Schools, this hyperlink text right here, notice up in my tabs, I'm going to go to a new tab. But if I'm going to close that now, if I take out that target attribute and just go with the default behavior of a hyperlink, watch what happens now. I'm going to run that and click it again, then I actually change the current window. So that's what the target attribute's all about. I'm going to reload this page, and I want you to know about the target attribute and the value in case you want to create a hyperlink that actually opens a new web page. Letter D, use images at links. I think we've already done this in a prior objective, but just to reiterate, anytime that you have an image, you can surround that image with A tags, A open, A close. And in the opening tag where all the attributes are always entered, we would put our href attribute and then any absolute or relative value that we want to use to make that image a hyperlink. I'm going to refresh my page, and now my image is a hyperlink and also takes me to JCCC. And our last item in this course objective is discuss image maps. And again, I'm going to go back to W3 Schools and type in image map. Just use this as my demonstration. So here's the code that creates an image map, and let's use the try it yourself button so that we can see how this works. So here's our image tag that creates this image, and it says click on the sun or on one of the planets to watch it closer. That's this paragraph. And here's the map. And the map is really just a bunch of code that is identifying what areas in the image are clickable. I have one image tag for each clickable area with a shape, either a rectangle, a circle, or a polygon, and then its coordinates inside the image. So this requires you to typically open that image in some sort of photo editing tool so that you can figure out what the coordinates are. The coordinates start in the upper left-hand corner at 0, 0. So we're just defining a rectangle with one corner at 0, 0, and the other coordinate at 82 pixels to the right and 126 pixels down, and that's a rectangle, and that's the sun. So if we click on the sun, we're going to see an image of the sun. That's the href value. I'm going to go rerun this code. The second area is a very small circle. It's a circle. It's 90 pixels to the right, 58 pixels down, and it's only 3 pixels in radius, and that's Mercury. So if I click on right here on Mercury, and I can tell as my mouse pointer moves in and out of these hot spots on this image where the hyperlinks are. It's the sun, it's Mercury, and then I believe this is Venus. So here's Mercury. If I click Mercury, I'm getting a picture of Mercury. I'm going to rerun this, and then here's another hot spot, another area. It's a circle, 124 pixels to the right, 58 pixels down, same number of pixels down as Mercury was, but it's a little bit bigger in radius, 8. And that's called Venus. Alternate text is Venus, and the href value is to open up a little image of Venus. So there's your image map. I don't typically ask students to code this for their final project, but you certainly want to know how they work. To make any image into an image map, you have to create the map with the different hotspot areas, give the map a name, and then in the image tag, you use the useMap attribute to specify what map you want to apply to that image. That's creating absolute, relative, and anchor hyperlinks. If you can do those things, I would love to see you demonstrate those items to me, and then you can move on to CSS, Cascading Style Sheets. Thank you.